I didn't choose the restaurant. That should be said up front, the way you say where the exits are before a flight takes off. I arrived after the reservation had been made, after the menu had been scanned online, after the tone of the evening had been decided. There was a long table already, the good side of the room already claimed. I slid into the last open chair, the one with a leg that wobbled when you crossed your ankles. My daughter sat beside me. She's small for 6, but she listens. She folded her napkin into a neat rectangle and set it on her lap the way I taught her, quiet hands, eyes up. The kind of habits you teach when you know you'll be judged for the noise you don't make. Minas were passed down and stopped just before us. Someone reached across me to ask the waiter about the lobster tails, size, butter, whether the kitchen could split them for kids. The waiter smiled in that professional way that means yes to anything that costs extra. My sister didn't look at me when she spoke. She looked at her children, already excited, already tugging at the paper bands around their silverware. "We didn't order for your kid," she said, like she was correcting a seating chart. "You should have fed her before." It wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. The table absorbed it the way tables absorb spills, no splash, just a darkening grain. Our parents nodded. Both of them. The nods were small, synchronized, the kind you develop over years of agreement. I watched the nods land and understood, again, the old math preparation equals virtue, need equals inconvenience. My daughter's hand tightened around her napkin. She didn't look at me. She stared at the edge of the table at a chip in the varnish shaped like a tiny continent. "Got it," I said. I said it the way you say you've heard a price you can't afford. Calm, neutral, already moving on. The waiter left with a list of additions. Butter warmed, cake ordered, not shared. The kind with layers so dark they swallow light. $85, someone said with a laugh, because it sounded impressive when said out loud. Plates arrived. The room filled with steam and citrus and applause, level enthusiasm. My sister's kids tore open shells with the confidence of people who have never been told no at a table. My parents leaned in, offering tips, praising how grown up they were being. My daughter waited. I could have argued then. I could have said the words that rise fastest, fairness, family, she's just a kid. I didn't. I have learned what arguing does at our table. It turns the subject into me, my tone, my timing, my sensitivity. It gives everyone else a place to stand that isn't responsible. So I waited. I watched my sister butter a forkful for her youngest, watched my mother dab her mouth with a cloth napkin like the room was noticed. How the waiter refilled water everywhere but our end, how the glass in front of my daughter grew rings like a calendar marking time. When the waiter came back, balancing dessert menace and a small, hopeful smile, I stood, not abruptly, not with a scrape of chair legs. I stood the way you do when you're about to ask for a check and you don't want to be rushed. "Hi," I said. Quick question. The table went quiet in that tight way families get quiet when something unscripted happens. My sister looked up then. My parents froze mid-bite. "I just want to clarify," I said, keeping my voice where it belongs, steady, audible, unremarkable. "We weren't included in the order for the children's meals. I should have handled that before we arrived." "That's on me?" My mother nodded again, relieved. The waiter nodded too, reflexively. "So," I continued, "I'd like to order now. Something simple. Whatever the kitchen can do fastest for her. And I'll need it noted that it's separate." "Of course," the waiter said. He glanced down at the pad. "We can. And," I said, and this is where I felt the hinge move, "I'll be covering our portion independently. Please split the check accordingly." From the start. It's a small sentence, that last one. It's administrative. It's policy-shaped. But it landed. The waiter's posture changed. He straightened, glanced at the table, at the plates already consumed, at the cake still wrapped like a promise. "Absolutely," he said. "I'll take care of that." My sister opened her mouth. Closed it, she smiled thin. "Oh, that's not necessary," she said, a hand lifting like she could smooth the air back into place. "It is," I said. "For us." The waiter nodded again, this time with purpose. "I'll bring her meal right out," he said, already stepping back, already making the adjustment visible in his head. He returned quickly with bread and a small bowl of fruit, unbilled, set gently in front of my daughter. She looked at me, eyes wide, as if checking whether she was allowed to touch it. I nodded. She ate. The cake arrived with sparklers anyway. Someone had asked for them, the flames reflected in the cutlery. My parents clapped. My sister took photos. When the checks came, they came as promised. 2 folders. One heavier than the other. The waiter placed ours nearest to me, met my eyes briefly, not conspiratorial, just clear. Authority had done its part. The rules were visible now. There was no explosion. No lecture. The room kept moving. My sister's voice was different after that, careful, recalibrating. My parents were quieter. My daughter ate her simple food and then, when she was done, leaned against my arm and fell asleep, crumbs on her cheek. When we left, my mother hugged me longer than usual. Next time, she said, not finishing the sentence. Next time. I agreed. Outside, the air was cool. The street smelled like rain that hadn't come yet. I buckled my daughter into her seat and wiped her hands. She stirred, then smiled, already forgetting the shape of the table. I didn't feel victorious. I felt something steadier than that. Like a line had been drawn in pencil and then traced over, once, carefully. Not revenge, not forgiveness. Just a boundary you could see. On the drive home, I didn't replay the sentence. I didn't need to. It had done what it needed to do.